Hi, I'm Alan Hennessy, the digital mentor, and you're listening to the Social Media Talks podcast with guest presenter Kelly Morrison. Hello and thank you for joining me. This is the Social Media Talks podcast brought to you by Compass Media and the Digital Mentor. On today's show, we are turning the tables. Instead of me asking the questions, I'm being asked the questions by my guest host, Kelly Morrison from Upstarts.ie. On the show, we are going to be talking all about digital connections and how you can enhance your digital connections through engagement and also the different opportunities out there available for you to connect with your audience. So I do hope you enjoy this episode, and without further ado, let's transition straight over to the interview.
I had a lot of people onto me during the week because, as you are the digital mentor, there was a lot of questions came in about finding the right social media platform for your marketing strategy, and also looking at maybe some not unexplored but new territories where you could find maybe your customer, find your fans. So I believe you're going to be able to take us through some of that.
I'll do my level best. I'll do my level best.
You are the man for the job.
Well, yeah. I've done a bit of it. Yeah. And you know me, Kelly. I love to talk anyway, so it doesn't matter. It's even better again. But anyway.
Well, as we know, social media is used by 3 billion people on social media platforms across all the social media platforms. There's no point in ignoring it in terms of marketing. There's no point in ignoring it in terms of even being out there, gathering information, putting your information out there, whether it is customers, fans, other businesses you want to interact with. It is absolutely essential these days that you're using it and using it well. So, Alan, before people kind of jump into what platform or where they should be, how would you recommend they identify their goals for their social media?
Well, I think at the end of the day it's as I always say, it's especially when it comes to business. We create a business plan when we start our business or when we're thinking about starting it, and we look at all the viable options of what we should be doing. Or is this is there a place there for us? Or, so things like that. Obviously, of a key importance for in whether you success or you fail or whatever. But I think at the end of the day, you have to do that when it comes to business. So, and as everyone knows, anyone who listens to this show, that I've always said, what happens online is really the same as what happens offline. So, for instance, as I said, if you're creating a business plan for your business, you need to create a digital plan for your online activities as well. Yes. And really it's about understanding as to what it is that you're trying to achieve. You know what I mean? Is it that I just want to get more visibility, or is it I want to build a bit of brand awareness, or whatever it may be, or do I want to get customers from social media? That's sort of the thing. I think there's a lot of that around that people say that,
Do you think that most people are trying to get onto social media in the right sense to engage with their target audience to increase sales, or do you think they're driving their traffic to their own social media platforms, to their digital headquarters, for example, their own website?
Yeah, I think the biggest mistake that people make is they say, oh, I'll use social media and I'll push out all my products out on social media and everyone will be buying off me next week. And then all of a sudden they start doing that, and nobody engages with them. Nobody even talks to them. Nobody even knows that they're there. So you've got to build up trust. You've got to build up your following. You've got to, engage with people. You've got to be seen. It's like if you walk into a networking meeting and you've never been to this networking meeting and nobody knows you. So you have to introduce yourself. You have to be able to talk and just, and engage with people. So it's exactly the same online. So if you're starting out on social, let's say social media, you're starting out in social media. A lot of people will make the mistake of saying, yeah, I'll create a social media account and I'll put posts up everywhere on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, wherever it may be. And hopefully everyone will get to know me very quickly. Really, that's not a strategy, because really that is just literally picking up a load of stones and throwing them into the
a hit and hope, as they say.
Yeah, exactly. Literally hit and hope. Whereas if you go in, you go more structured and say, okay, so where are my audience? Are my audience on LinkedIn? Are they on Twitter? Are they on Facebook? Okay, well, if they're on these platforms, concentrate your time there. Start looking at the platform. Start looking at what your competitors are doing. How are they achieving success? So there's no point in looking at a person who has 10 followers. You could be saying, okay, right, well, that's great. I like what they do. But if they've only 10 followers, there's probably very little interaction. So you want to be thinking about who it is that you're trying to attract. And
which channels
that they would be spending their time on.
Are there like even softball guidelines? Now there's one I came up with myself there now. And that's an Upstarts original. A softball guideline.
A softball guideline.
Softball guideline on what industry is better represented on which platform. I know there's no hard and fast rules, but is there guidance? Like, for example, if someone's trying to sell a hamburger and someone's trying to sell a book, would they be better on different platforms or similar platforms?
It depends. It more depends on what it is that you're trying. So if the book is about hamburgers, let's put it. Okay. Let's look at it that way. If the book is about hamburgers, well, people are going. A
similar audience may appeal to both.
Yeah. So it might be a bit. Like you think of when we're going for a hamburger. Okay, what are we doing? We're probably relaxing. We're probably, jumping into one of the fast food shops or something and whatever. And we're going there as a treat instead of us, So you've got to think about it that way and say, right, okay, well, if that's the case, okay, that's a more relaxed type of atmosphere that you want to create. So probably Facebook will be probably a lot more suited to that because that's the type of people that are going to be reading that type of content. And I don't mean, I'm not trying to...
Because it has widespread appeal. It's a bigger demographic. Yeah, okay. So
but
kitchen sink, social media platform.
If you're writing a book about how a hamburger is made, and see, this is what I'm talking about. If you're saying how a hamburger is made, maybe that might be on, say, the types of Instagram. Because then you're giving people more of an option to be able to view and learn more and say, because we all know when we go on the types of, say, Instagram or TikTok or anything, it's here's how I made this or here's how, so that type of way. So there you're going to a different audience. Now you could be talking about distributing hamburgers. So that could be LinkedIn. So you see the one I'm trying to the way I'm trying to explain it, and the same with the types of, say, Twitters. Here's a hamburger I've made, that type of way. What is your opinion? How do you make your hamburgers? That could be Twitter.
Well, Alan, I think that you've really come up with an excellent softball guideline there. I think that's the softball guideline of the month. I don't know if anyone's going to top that. But that is actually a brilliant way of explaining it because it's the different aspect. So the actual topic itself, it's about the purpose of what's behind it. Exactly. What are you trying to do and who would it be for?
Exactly.
So that's really then you need to understand your industry, what industry you're in, so then you can talk through the different places that you might want to put yourself.
Yeah, I think it's about, like you think about it is what I always say to is try and build a persona of that customer. Now, look, everyone would say, oh, well, when you ask that question, the automatic reaction, the automatic answer you get is like, if I say to you, who's your target audience? Say, oh, well, it's people between 20 and 40. It's, blah, 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 whatever it is. Okay, that's well and good. But how many people in the world are between 20 and 40? Okay? Whereas if we turn around and say, okay, who is my ideal customer? My ideal customer is a person that's 25, that lives here, that, enjoys this type of, burger or whatever it may be we're talking about, right? And that they spend most of their time, they're quite tech savvy, so they're probably on, certain social media platforms.
Yeah.
Now you're narrowing that search. Now you're looking at that one particular customer. And remember...
So you're learning more about the focus. You're focusing more on your target market segments.
Yeah, and then you sort of look at the other side of that is then you look at, okay, well, what are their goals or what are their frustrations in their life? Not about buying this product. It's about in their life. So look at their demographic. Look at the way they buy. Have they got an extra few bob every week? Have they got money to do this? Are they, have they got kids? Are they trying to save money? So you've got to think about that because once you understand that part, Now you can direct your marketing at that person. So here's a cheaper burger than the next place. Do you know, that type of way?
Yes.
And these are the benefits of this. Is this if they're more, say for instance, if they're more health conscious, you can talk about the health aspects of the burger. So the whole idea is that you're giving value before. So you're never pushing, you're pulling. So what you're doing is you're trying to pull them in with the information that's of value to them. That's going to say, oh, well, I need to know a little bit more about this. Because once you get them in the door, then you have an opportunity to bring them to the next level.
Yeah.
You know?
So you're absolutely right. And in that way, I have some stats here. So for example, like you're saying, if something, say, is image-based, that your message is best delivered through an image-based platform, then you're looking at the likes of Pinterest, Instagram, Tumblr. The kitchen sink platforms, as you mentioned that term earlier, are Facebook and Twitter. They're more multi-purpose, and if you're going to only pick one, maybe perhaps consider one of those guys. I'll give the percentage use. So your video networks, if your message is better delivered or demonstrated through video, you're looking at Vimeo or YouTube. You're definitely looking at YouTube. I should have said that one first. Your professional business focused networks, Alan, I think I don't need to tell you, it's
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. If you're looking for SEO and authorship platforms, it's Google Plus. And then the burger thing that we were just talking about in our softball guideline, the location-based networks, you're looking at places, things like Foursquare and Yelp, and your niche networks are like Reddit and Quora and things like that. So in terms of statistics, right, we have 79% is Facebook, 32% are on Instagram, 31% are using Pinterest. I didn't actually know that Pinterest was as big as that.
Oh, it's absolutely huge. It's huge. We could talk a whole program on Pinterest. It's fascinating.
Because we want to talk about one that isn't mentioned here, which is Clubhouse. I'm going to talk about that in a second. With 29% at least of adults are using LinkedIn. 29% of adults are also using messaging apps like WhatsApp. 24% are using auto delete apps, and 5% are using anonymous apps. So you can consider all of this data when you're putting together your approach. Alan, you have spoken about maybe thinking outside of the box as well. So you when you look at different articles and different research things, they will mention the bigger social media networks and also TikTok as well. But you wanted to talk about Clubhouse.
Yeah, and there's a number of them. So, okay, and the reason why I want to talk to you about this is okay, so a lot of people, when they come to me or when I'm talking to them or when I'm training with them, they say, how do I build my following? How do I get more people to like my page? How do I get more people to engage with me on, my platform? All right, because I can see people who have 1.3 million people, or they've, 16,000 fans or something like that on their Instagram, or they have, they've whatever amount of followers on Twitter and stuff like that. Okay, so think about this, okay? And they say, how do I do this? And I say, well, the easiest way is to start engaging, to getting involved in conversations. So I'll talk about Clubhouse in a minute, but I also like to mention there is that there's Twitter is fantastic, and people sort of shy away from Twitter and they say, oh, I don't like Twitter, it's too fast moving, it's all junk and whatever. It is junk, I guess. Of course it is junk, but every platform has junk on it. Every platform, no matter where you go. So putting that aside, you say to yourself, okay, well, if I'm on Twitter, if I'm following the right people, and I'm engaging with the right people, that's opening up opportunities, because at the end of the day, when you're following certain people on, say, the types of, say, Twitter, okay, they're connected to other people. So this has a tumbling effect. So you can go, okay, well, they know such and such. Oh, I never knew he was on Twitter. Oh, blah, 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 whatever it is, right? So then it starts to engage. You can start to engage with them on Twitter. But Twitter has a thing called, it's only recently, it's about a year old or so at this stage. It's called Twitter Spaces, okay? Now, this is the art of conversation, okay? And this is what a lot of people we find is on Twitter, on the types of all the social networks is they're posting. They're just, they're putting up a video or something like that. Mm-hmm. But the art of conversation is what will actually engage people a lot more. So I've spoke about on previous programs here about, engaging if you write a post and someone answers it or whatever it may be, engage with them, have that conversation. This is taking it to the next level. So the types of, say, Twitter Spaces. Okay, basically what a Twitter Space is it's an audio conversation that happens on Twitter. Okay, so it's a group of people. So we could go in and we could set up our own Twitter Space, and we could talk about the radio show. And is that
topic based?
Yeah, so we could talk about the radio show.
So we could set one up about hamburgers.
You could set one up about hamburgers, exactly, and the benefits of hamburgers, or the
gourmet burgers,
gourmet
versus
blah blah blah, whatever it may be. So we can set that up, and then what happens is people that are on Twitter will see this. It's only really available on your smartphones or your iPads. You will get it, but they're trying to direct people that it'll go more or less. You can get them on your desktop, but it's a bit harder to find. The easiest way is probably on your phone. But there's a sort of a purple bar that's across the top, and it'll show you all the Twitter Spaces conversations that are going on. Click into it, and then it opens up, and there could be 10 people in the room, there could be 100 people in this particular space, right? And the conversation starts flowing. You can actually then even tweet about it online, but you can also engage. So you can put your hand up and say, I'd like to add a comment. All of a sudden, you're talking to people on that Twitter Space. They get to know you. They start connecting with you. So you're using this as an opportunity to build your connections on Twitter. So it's a really, really good thing. And I would say to you, I've had some phenomenal conversations, and I've also gotten to know a lot of other people. So I would know, a fairly decent amount of influencers around the world. But I went on one particular Twitter Space. I can't remember what it was about. It was a couple of weeks back or so. And I got another, I think it was 25 connections. But they were all people that I never knew about. Since then, I've had a number of conversations with them individually, offline. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying is about building your following, which you can do on Twitter. Yeah. Now, the other one is Clubhouse. And Clubhouse started about, I think it's about...
Tell us, about Clubhouse.
It started about 2 years ago or something like that.
So the height of the pandemic.
It just started just before the pandemic, and I think that was where it really it gained its notoriety. Momentum, then because basically what it is it's an audio, what they call it is an audio social media platform. Okay, so there's no images, no posts, no graphics, anything like that. It's purely conversations. I think it was actually something tells me it was called, I think it was called Talk Show. It was originally done for podcasters, and then obviously with the pandemic it just grew, and they changed it and they rebranded it to Clubhouse. Okay. And it's basically what it is. It's like a Clubhouse. You go in and you join in, you go into a room and you just start talking to people, you start connecting with them. So it's a really, really popular way of doing it. But that is more, they try and direct people more towards Instagram.
Okay,
which is
so
really
why do they
good.
Connect so well with Instagram?
They just have, that's sort of where they went down that road. Now you can still, like if you create your profile on Clubhouse, you can still put in your Facebooks, your Twitters, your LinkedIn, your Instagrams, you can put all of them in there. But a lot of it is based towards Instagram. For some reason or other, I don't really know the reason why, but I found that most of the people that have profiles on it, they usually have 9 times out of 10, it's usually their Instagram. That's the top of the feed, the top of their links. And then that's where you can go in, like you can be joining in a conversation on Clubhouse, and you can literally jump over and you can be still listening to the conversation and go over to Instagram and check out their profile, and then you can say, I like this person, and find out more about them while you're still on the call. So you're not actually leaving
to go and explore the rest.
Plus you can go in and you can go into a room, you can go into one of the rooms, and you can listen to the conversation. If you have a question or you have a bit of input, you can raise your hand. It's like you tap the button, you tap your icon, your avatar, whatever you want to call it, your profile, and it'll show you raised your hand. And then if the person who's running the room wants to invite you up on they call it being brought up on stage, and then you can go in and then they'll allow you to talk. Otherwise, if you just want to listen, you can just literally go and just sit there and listen to the thing.
So then, referring back to our softball guidelines, right? Which part of the hamburger process would we be better bringing through Clubhouse?
So
Would it be?
I would be explaining about how the hamburger works, or why you should be looking at my type of burger and what I can offer with it, and then also asking for opinions about your burgers. Do you know that's you know, that type of way you can have conversations around people who have similar burgers. That type of way.
Okay.
So you know,
it's a demonstration place. It's a listening post. You can get direct access to your target market. They can get more access to information about you while you're even. And how do you arrange your time and place? Like, do you show up randomly and hope people like? Do you promote? How does that work?
Well, you can do it. With Clubhouse, what you can do is if you create a room. Say we created a room for, I don't know, say 6 o'clock this evening. We can put that up on Clubhouse that we're going to go live at 6 o'clock, and then anyone who's scrolling through the rooms and looking for what's happening, because there's all these different, you can go into different rooms. It's like you can go in and say, okay, they're talking about LinkedIn here, they're talking about Twitter here, they're talking about, you know, I don't know, gardening here, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Coaching, you know, there's a lot of coaches as well on it, type of thing. So you can go down through the rooms and then you just click into the room and it'll tell you if it's live or if it's scheduled. And then when you click on the schedule, it'll actually send you a little reminder to say, you know, this room is now open, and jump in and say hello or whatever it may be. So, you know what I mean? So it gives that a thing. What I would say is it's amazing. It's in a great place to be able to find new people, find influencers, but also find people that would be interested in your product. So it wouldn't be like going on and say, oh, these are my target audience, this is where I need to be. It's a way of using. It's one of those places where you can start a conversation and then move it to, whether you move it to Instagram, to Facebook, to Twitter, to LinkedIn, to wherever it may be. And then eventually obviously go one-to-one and do your Zoom calls or whatever it is, because you've got to remember there are people all around the world.
Yes.
And they're listening in 24/7. But it is Clubhouse, and it's available on iOS and also on Android as well. You know?
So what would be like a memorable experience you've had with Clubhouse yourself when you first kind of were starting to explore this platform?
I found it very good, because what we done was we have the Global Tea Break every month, which is like a networking meeting that happens online and whatever, happens on Zoom type of thing. So what we done was we actually, after the networking meeting is over, so it goes on for an hour and a half. After that, what we done is we said, look, if anyone wants to follow on and join the after party, join us over in Clubhouse. And we set up a room in Clubhouse. And what we done was we opened up the Clubhouse room, and of course there was conversations going on. It wasn't it was more relaxed. But what happened then is a lot of people started coming in to the room,
right? Because
they started seeing, oh, what's this Global Tea Break type of thing, and they came in and they started talking. What actually happened then from that was that we had a few new people that came in that weren't on the networking meeting, which is for free, by the way. But what they done was the next month that we ran it, they came on to the Zoom call. So see the one I'm saying? Like it actually brought people from Clubhouse over to what we're doing, even though we had never intended to do that. It organically done it, you know.
So tell us more about the Global Tea Break.
So the Global Tea Break is it's a global network of business owners, entrepreneurs. Basically, if you're in business and you want to jump in, you're welcome to. It happens on the third Friday of every month, and it's the third Friday of every month. It's a 90-minute meeting. It starts at 3 o'clock here in Dublin, so GMT, it's 3 o'clock. I think it's 7 a.m. in Pacific daytime. But it's business owners from all around the world, and we jump on, and there is a 90-minute call, so we introduce the new people that come in. Then after that we do a teaching time, which is a 10-minute presentation from one of the members of the community, and then we do breakout rooms, and we come back and we find out what happened in the breakout rooms, and then we finish up, and it's as simple as that. And you can get all the information on theglobalteabreak.com. There you go. See, I never planned on talking about that, but I would say I suppose
tomorrow is the first one. People want to join in. They have
tomorrow. Tomorrow from 3:00. So if you go to the website,
21st.
you can see it. The great thing about it is if you register once, you don't have to register again because you'll get a reminder every month that it's on. So that's what we tried to set that up. But but I would suggest to people is if you're going to start using social media, explore these other options. Have a look at these audio places to go. They're brilliant. You know, they just open up so many new doors to you. And I would definitely say Clubhouse and Twitter Spaces, definitely places to look at. And then, you know, there's also, I suppose, as well, Facebook groups. We can't forget them. They're still as powerful as ever.
Yeah.
And there's always great conversations going on in there as well.
Okay. Well, Alan, thank you so much for sharing all your expertise. You really understand now why you are the digital mentor. If anyone wants to get hold of Alan, it's alan@thedigitalmentor.ie. If you want to get hold of myself, it's Kelly at Upstarts.ie. Thanks. That just gives us enough time to say, get up, start up, think big.
Hey, thanks for joining us today on the Social Media Talks podcast, and hopefully you learned some great information and also insights from our guests today. And if you'd like to listen to any of our previous podcasts, you can log on to our website at compassmedia.ie/podcasts. And all of our podcasts are available on all the usual podcast providers. And we would be delighted if you would leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, as we are always thrilled to receive your feedback on any of the programs. You can also subscribe to the podcast there so you never miss an episode as well. And if you'd like the show notes for this episode or for any of the previous episodes, please log on to our website at compassmedia.ie/show notes. And if you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, please do get in contact with us. All you have to do is email us at smtalks@compassmedia.ie. And if you'd like to find out more about the services that Compass Media provide, from social media marketing and training to podcast services, please visit our website for more details. You can also reach out and connect with me across all of the social networks, including Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and I will personally answer every one of your requests. That's about all for today. I've been Alan Hennessy from Compass Media for the Social Media Talks podcast, and we look forward to talking to you next week. And as I always say, be social. So until next week at the same time, bye-bye.
Social Media Talks podcast is a production from compassmedia.ie.
The Social Media Talks podcast is sponsored by ContentCal. For more information, visit their website at contentcal.io. We would also like to remind you the Social Media Talks podcast is proudly supported by charityradio.ie.